And that was super important, again, for my daughter to make sure that there was still things. Why are you looking at me like that? Hello friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again today as we are here in my daughter's room for the big reveal. As you can probably tell behind me, it looks a heck of a lot different than it did a few days back in the before video. I cannot tell you what a crazy dramatic transformation this room has gone through. I wanted to explain to you what we did and how you can maybe solve some of those awkward spaces in your home by just shifting around a few pieces of existing furniture, painting up the walls, and really lightening up the space. So if you remember from the before video, we had really dark furniture in here and we had really oversized furniture. And although it's a good sized room, it's kind of long and narrow with only one source of light, which is right behind me. So it kind of made it a little bit challenging when trying to redesign the space on how we were gonna set things up. So let's just get right into it. From the very beginning, I want to thank HomeSense, one of our sponsors, who just helped us bring this complete room transformation to life, and I am thrilled with what we were able to find at HomeSense. The second partner is Canadian Tire Premier Paint. I am so happy with how the paint all turned out. Thank you so much to these sponsors who really just helped make this possible. So to start, we had to solve the main issue, which was the bed. Before we had it turned and stuffed into this little alcove area, but now what we did is this is actually the exact same bed as before. We removed the headboard, the footboard, and the 4 posts, and we replaced it with a metal bed frame. We rotated the bed so that it was right underneath the window. Now because of this, we can't have a traditional headboard. So we decided to create a feature wall that would act as a headboard. So let's talk about the floral wall for a second. I was super inspired by a couple other of my DIY blogging friends when I saw some of them painting some floral murals. To be honest, I never even considered painting it. I'd always thought of using either decals or wallpaper. Now, if you've ever tried to use either of those, sometimes they can be quite tricky. And so when I saw a few other people just painting it freely by hand, I thought, why don't we just try doing it like that as well? So we went over to Canadian Tire, grabbed a whole bunch of different colors from their Premier Paint collection. And then we went to Pinterest and we searched a whole bunch of different floral patterns. We also went over to Creative Market and purchased a floral graphics pack. And with a few of these different patterns, we were inspired to freehand this floral pattern onto the wall. It's actually not even a pattern. We kind of just let our creative juices flow and just started painting. And let me tell you, I couldn't be more pleased with the final results. One of the things I really suck at in life is drawing or coloring or painting. But yet there was something about just these kind of abstract, oversized floral prints that they were relatively easy to do. And using these different patterns that we were inspired by, we were just able to create this beautiful feature wall that acts as the headboard. So let's talk through the furniture. Like I said, we kept the same queen size bed. We also reused one of our dressers. So we moved it in here and we actually just swapped out all the hardware to make it fit a little bit better with the space. And then the only piece of furniture that we actually bought was this desk from HomeSense. We absolutely love the desk. We didn't want something that had a very deep profile to it. It had to be fairly narrow, but also big enough that she could sit at and do her work. Now, you may ask, what was the inspiration for this room? And I kind of had a color palette as well as a design style in mind. So the color palette was soft purples, like a soft lavender color, soft pink, and a soft teal. That was by request from my 7-year-old daughter. Those were the colors that she wanted. When it came to the design style, I really wanted some modern, but also mixed with a little bit of a boho kind of earthy vintage style. I don't know if that's actually a design, but you know what? That's kind of what I was going for. So you can see that reflected in elements like this chair. It's super modern, but up against this desk that you can still see the wood grain in it, and it's got kind of that whitewash finish. It's got more of that boho, shabby chic kind of feel to it. And I really wanted that mix of the two styles. Where we kind of brought in some earthy elements is in this wicker basket, as well as with this macrame wall hanging. Now, I'd say the biggest challenge that I had in this space was to make sure that it was still suitable for a 7-year-old. And this was something that my daughter reminded me of constantly. That's why I love HomeSense and their newer focus on their kids line. They have so many options right now for beautiful children's spaces. And so stuff like these unicorns and these beautiful prints, and you'll see all throughout the space, we added in lots of different kid elements, but that were still classy looking. And on the bed, you'll see the alligator and the fairy. So it was super important for me to make sure that this space, although it was beautifully styled, that it also reflected a 7-year-old girl. The final thing I wanted to say about this space is when I was designing it, although my goal was to have a kids space and I spent a lot of time in the kids section at HomeSense, I also ventured to all the different sections, including the seasonal section like the garden center. When designing a space for someone, don't always be restricted to what you think you should have in that space and stay in those sections. Think outside the box. So for instance, in this space, I went over into the garden section and I found this gorgeous bird feeder. It was so pretty and matched the room perfectly. I had a feeling it would look great hanging in this space. It's probably one of my favorite elements in this room. It doesn't belong there, it belongs outside as a bird feeder, but we're breaking rules here and I'm loving it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you love this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Leave some love in the comments below and tell me what you'd like to see next. We are on a roll here with YouTube and we are so excited. I'm gonna do one more video in this series where I'm actually gonna talk through 3 simple DIYs that we did to some pieces in this space and show you what you can do using store-bought items and changing them up a little to customize them to your space. So that'll be later this week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that video. Thank you again so much, and happy decorating. Bye.